So you just launched your very own search campaign, and so then you go to Google, you search for your business, and your ad doesn't show up. And now you're thinking that the ad must be broken or it's not working, which is a totally fair assumption and probably one of the most common questions I get from my own clients. But most of the time, it's not the fact that the campaign is broken. What's actually happening is that Google is making a decision in the background based on your behavior, your location, the budget of the campaign, and a bunch of other signals that you aren't seeing. And the frustrating part is that the more you keep Googling yourself to check if your ad is running, the more you can actually make the situation worse. So in this video, I'm going to show you the most common reasons why Google probably isn't showing you your own ads when you search for yourself, your business name, a keyword, and why that doesn't necessarily mean that anything is wrong, and the one tool inside of Google Ads that gives you the real answer without messing with your own campaigns. So I manage Google Ads for service-based businesses, and like I said, this is the most common question that comes up when I am talking with my own clients. So a client will say like, hey, I searched for one of our keywords and I didn't see our ad. Are we even showing up? Are the ads running? The answer is usually yes. You're just not the person that Google wants to show the ad to right now. So before we get into the reasons, there's one thing that you need to understand. Google Ads is not a billboard. A billboard is quite simple. You pay for the spot and then everyone driving by sees the same thing. Google Ads doesn't work like that at all. It is an auction. So every time someone searches, even if two people type in the exact same keyword 5 seconds apart, Google runs a brand new auction to decide which ads to show, where those ads show, and whether your ad shows at all. And chances are those two people that are searching for the exact same thing in the exact same area will see completely different results. So when you search for your own business and don't see your ad, that one search is not proof that your campaign is broken. It's just one tiny snapshot of one auction. And honestly, as the business owner, you're usually one of the worst people to use as a test because you are not the ideal audience that the ads are going after. So the first reason that your ad might not show is that Google has basically learned not to show it to you. So Google pays attention to what you search, what you click on, what you ignore, and how you behave online. So let's say you've searched for your business a few times before, your ad shows up sometimes, but you haven't ever clicked on it, which makes sense. You are the owner, you already know your website, you're not going to click on your own ad and spend your own money just to prove that it works. But Google doesn't know that. Google just sees a person who keeps being shown this ad and keeps ignoring it. So eventually, Google may decide, okay, this person clearly doesn't want what is in this ad, and then it stops showing it to you as often. It's trying to show ads to people who are most likely to click, call, book, or buy. And if your behavior tells Google that you are not one of those people, then your ad may stop showing up for you personally. But every time you search and your ad shows, but you don't click on it, you create an impression without a click. And that can hurt your click-through rate. And click-through rate is one of the signals that Google uses when it decides how useful and how relevant your ad is. So if you keep searching for your own ad, seeing it and not clicking, you're adding bad data into your own account. Not a ton, obviously from one search. One search is not going to skew everything and ruin it. But if you are doing it over and over again or have multiple friends and family doing it or your employees continually searching, it's not helping. So the first rule is simple. Stop Googling your own business to see if your ads are running because there is a better way to check in the ads platform to see if your ads are running, which we'll get into that more in depth later on in this video. The second reason your ad might not show is your location. So Google Ads is very location aware, but the tricky part is that Google's idea of where you are is not always the same as where you actually are. So if you're sitting at home outside of your service area, your ad may not show. If you're using a VPN, your ad probably won't show either. If your phone carrier is routing traffic through different cities or through different zip codes, which happens more than people realize, your ad probably won't show either. Or maybe your office is in one area, but your campaign is targeting a different set of zip codes or cities. So from your perspective, you're thinking, I'm local, why am I not seeing my ad? But from Google's perspective, you may not match the location settings in the campaign. And the third reason that your ad might not show if you Google yourself is budget. And this one is pretty straightforward, but it still catches a lot of people off guard. If your campaign runs out of budget midday, your ad stops showing. And that's it. You're out of the auction until Google is ready to show you again until the next day. But what can make this confusing is that your daily budget does not always behave like a clean daily limit. If you set your budget at $50 a day, that does not necessarily mean that Google spends exactly $50 every single day and then stops. Some days, Google may spend more, which means that on other days, it has to spend less. So it tries to balance things out over time. So you might look at your account and think, wait, how are we out of budget when we haven't even spent our daily limit yet? But if the day before Google spent double your daily limit, then the next day it kind of has to pull back to even things out. This can also get a little bit more noticeable if you're using an ad schedule. So for example, maybe your ads only run from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. And that means that Google has a smaller window to spend your full budget. So instead of spending your budget across the entire day, it may spend faster earlier on in the day or during those days where it is actually eligible to show. And then by the time that you search later on in the day or later towards the end of the scheduled period, your ad is gone and it is done using its budget. Not because the campaign is broken and not running, but because the budget is already spoken for. And the fourth reason your ad might not show is simply that you didn't win that auction. And this is where a lot of people misunderstand Google Ads. They assume that the highest bidder always wins, and that's not really how it works at all. Your bid matters, yes, but Google also looks at the quality and the relevance of your ad to that specific searcher. So it looks at whether people are likely to click on it, it looks at how closely your ad matches what they're searching for, and it looks at your landing page experience. It also looks at your assets connected to the ad, your site links, your callouts, the call extension. So a competitor with a smaller budget can still beat you if their ad is more relevant to that searcher doing the search, if their landing page is better, or if Google just thinks that they're more likely to click on this other ad than yours. And that's why you can't really look at one search and assume that the entire campaign is not running. You may have just lost that one auction, but that doesn't mean that you're losing every auction. And then another thing to consider is that your ad may still be showing, just not where you expected it. So a lot of business owners will search, and if their ad is not at the very top of the page, and then they immediately assume that they're just not showing. But your ad could be lower on the page, it could be at the bottom of the page, it could be under the map results. So again, that one search just doesn't give you the full story on how the campaign is actually running. It just tells you what happened in that one moment, that one auction. And the fifth reason is probably the most likely one, is that Google may have decided that you are not a good person to show that ad to. Not you as a person, obviously, but you as a searcher. So Google looks at all of the signals during an auction, your device, your browser, the time of day, your location, your search history, your past behaviors online, what kind of things you usually click on, and what kind of content you absorb. And it also notices what kind of things you usually ignore. So if you're a business owner sitting at your desk at 2 p.m. searching your own service, Google may treat you very differently than it treats a homeowner on their phone at 7 p.m. who has been searching for estimates, reviews, local companies for weeks now. So you know you're not the ideal customer because you're the business owner. Google is trying to figure that out too. And in many cases, it does. It may decide this person is not likely to click or convert, and then it gives the ad an impression to somebody else. And that can feel frustrating because you're thinking, but I typed in the keyword, why wouldn't I see the ad? And it's because Google is not just strictly about the keywords, especially in today's search world, especially with everything that we just heard that is being released with Google Marketing Live. Google considers beyond the keyword. The keyword helps to get you into the auction, but the auction decides what happens next. So what should you do instead to know that your ads are actually running? So in the Google Ads platform, there is a tool called Ad Preview and Diagnosis Tool. And this is built right into the platform, and it's made exactly to see this situation. So inside of Google Ads, you would go to Tools and then Troubleshooting and Ad Preview and Diagnosis. From there, you can type in the keyword that you want to test. Then you can also choose the location, the language, and a device if you want to see it across different devices. And Google will show you exactly what the search results page would look like for that search in that moment. The important part is that this does not create a real impression. It is a test auction. So you can check your ad without messing with your click-through rate, without training Google that you don't like seeing your own ad, and without adding junk data to your own campaign. And if your ad is not showing, the tool will usually tell you why. Maybe your campaign is limited by budget, maybe the keyword is not eligible, maybe the ad is still under review, maybe you as a searcher don't match the audience and the targeting that the campaign is set up for. So instead of guessing, you get an actual reason as to why the ad is not showing up for you. And the biggest spot to look to see if your ad is actually running properly is it getting impressions? So just because the ad doesn't show up for you doesn't mean that it's not showing up for everybody else. So as long as the ad and the campaign is getting impressions and clicks, then you know that the ad is running. So the best proof that your ads are actually running is not whether you personally see them in the search results, it's the data inside the Google Ads account. But the point is, you don't need your ad to show to you. You are not the ideal audience. You need them to show for the right people at the right time. So think of Google search like a huge parking lot full of people walking in different directions. Your ad is not a flyer that gets taped to every single windshield. It's more like someone handing a flyer to very specific people based on where they are, what they're looking for, and whether they seem likely to care about what's on the flyer. If you walk into one corner of that parking lot and nobody hands you the flyer, that doesn't mean that the flyers aren't being handed out at all. It just means that you weren't the person Google chose in that moment. So your ad may not show to you because Google has learned that you don't click it. Your location may not match your targeting, your budget may be limited, you may not have won that specific auction, or Google may not see you as the right searcher. But none of those automatically mean that the campaign is broken. And if you're watching this because your Google ads aren't doing what you hoped them they would, and you want someone to actually look at your account and tell you what's going on in there, I've opened up a few free audit spots. I do this every few months for service business owners. So I'll go through your campaign, show you exactly where your money is being wasted and anything that I personally would change, and tell you 2 or 3 things that would help move the needle most. There's no pitch, there's no pressure. If we're fit to work together after, great. If not, at least you'll walk away with a clear list of what to fix in your own account. So the link to book that is in the description, and I'll see you there.